Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences. You have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, and none of my content is reviewed as financial advice. So before I jump into today's content, I want to first apologize for not having more content this week. As you might be able to notice here, I got bit by a dog. And the first couple days, it's been kind of sore, and it was a little bit swollen. It's still a little bit swollen, and it's still a little bit sore. I finally broke down today and went into the doctors to get some antibiotics because I think there's a little bit of an infection that's just not going to go away. And when I went there, they told me, yeah, you got to be worried about face bites because if you get bit in the face, there's not as much protection as if you were to get bit in your arms or your legs. So they were very happy that I came in to get it looked at so they could give me some medication to help with the swelling and hopefully get rid of some of the infection. But that's why I haven't really been on here. It was pretty ugly the first couple days after the dog bite. Now, it was a small dog, fortunately. I mean, it looks worse than, well, it feels not so good either, but it was a fairly small dog, so fortunately it wasn't, a huge dog, and it was a friend's dog, so I think I just kind of startled it. It was just kind of a shock. I've handled the dog before and never had a problem before. But I did want to apologize for not having any content earlier this week. It's been kind of a while. I did want to jump into this, but I also wanted this to heal a little bit better so it wasn't as swollen, because it actually hurts a little just to talk, and it hurt more because it was even more swollen than it is today. But that's the reason I haven't been on here for a while. Now, what are we going to talk about today? And we're going to talk about Safepal. And I had mentioned talking about this a couple days ago during one of the AMAs that I was going to put together some videos on Safepal. And more specifically, I'm talking about the Safepal wallet, the hardware, and the software. So we're going to talk about both aspects. Now, I'm not going to talk about everything today. I'm actually going to break this up into a 4 to 5 video series. So today's just kind of introducing why Safepal wallet and why we're going to talk about that. Some of the reasons why I decided to pick this one to look at, and then also some of the reasons why this might not be the best option for you. Yes, I have multiple hardware wallets. I really like the Ledger, but the Ledger's use case is a little problematic. I'm not a big fan of MetaMask. Works pretty good with MetaMask, but I really feel like the Ledger is more designed for people that buy and just hold on to crypto, not necessarily the DeFi crypto. So we're talking like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, Solana. That's where I think the Ledger's strength is. If you're just going to buy it and let it sit there, it's awesome. If you're going to be doing pre-sales and private sales and you're going to be doing some of the craziness in the DeFi space, the Ledger's not necessarily easy to use. Safepal is more intuitive. And again, it's not going to work really well for a pre-sale either. There's going to be some characteristics that carry over for that as well. But it's a little bit more intuitive for somebody that's used Trust Wallet or Safemoon Wallet, for example. If you're used to those wallets, you're probably going to really like the Safepal wallet because the interface is very similar. It's not exactly the same, but there are some very strong similarities between the two. And that's one of the reasons I like the Safepal wallet. But today's video is going to be more about those aspects. What are the future videos going to talk about? They're going to talk about, next is going to be the software wallet. So we're going to take a look at the software wallet interface, and then you're going to probably see some of the characteristics that are very similar to Trust Wallet or Safemoon Wallet. You, if you want to, can download the Safemoon. You can also download the Safepal wallet and test it out. You can do the import, or you can just create a new wallet, whichever you prefer. If you do the import, it'll work no different than your Trust Wallet import process. Very similar. You can also set up Safepal wallet to do some of the same monitoring that I've mentioned in previous videos. Again, I'm going to get into the specifics of all of that in the next video. But if you're in the meantime and you're just kind of curious what it's going to look like, you can download it and test it out and see if you like it. Or more importantly, what questions you have, what things pop up. The download process and the creation of a new wallet is a little bit different than Trust Wallet because there's more capabilities and more features built into it to ensure it works with a hardware wallet. So it's going to be a little bit different. But the next video is going to talk specifically about the software wallet. The video after that, we're going to talk about importing your wallet or basically linking it with the hardware wallet. So if you set up a brand new software wallet and you want to link that to a hardware wallet that you haven't yet bought, that's what the third video is going to talk about. The fourth video is going to be about creating an entirely new wallet right after you get your new hardware wallet. So we're going to walk through it from the hardware wallet perspective. there's some benefits to doing it that way. Again, I mentioned that there's some differences between the Safepal wallet and other wallets. Let's talk about some of those differences now that we're on that page. Now, first thing, let's talk about price. $49.99, much better than the ledger that I just showed you. Plus, if you buy 2 of them, you get free shipping, or there's some sort of a benefit when you do that. Now, full disclosure, I bought 2 of them. I've got 2 of these little guys because the price was pretty good. And there's a reason why. I can get 2 of them and I can support more wallets, or I can use these in different ways doing it that way. I kind of like the idea of having 2 different devices. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into that video. But I like the idea of doing 2. It wasn't even close to the same price as 1 ledger to get 2 of these things. So there is that as well. But if we scroll through here, you can see you can buy a whole bunch of different things here. They got some pretty good video content here. They are partnered with Binance, and I cover a lot of Binance projects on this channel. Again, coincidence that I chose Safepal over other hardware options? I think not. It is partnered with Binance, and it works pretty well with Binance. But if we keep going down here, you can see it's got a built-in self-destruct mechanism, which is awesome. It's an added benefit of security. Now, I haven't really talked about hardware wallets much. A good way to look at hardware wallets is really all you're doing is you're moving the private key onto the hardware wallet. Your wallet doesn't change locations. It's on the blockchain in the exact same place that it was before. So if you've bought crypto in the past, think about it this way. When it says verify the transaction in your wallet, and you go to your phone and you verify the transaction, that moves to the hardware wallet. So in order to verify the transaction, you have to have your hardware wallet with you to verify the transaction. And again, this is probably why it's not going to work great for pre-sales no matter which hardware wallet you use, because you still have that extra step and there's a little bit of a time process in there that's not necessarily conducive to a pre-sale environment or anything that requires timely transactions. So just keep that in mind. That's the one drawback for every hardware wallet, no matter what you're talking about, is it's not going to be conducive to timeliness. It's good on security. So when you get good security, you lose some timeliness. But it does have that self-destruct mechanism. But the key thing is that the private key is going to be on the device. So all of your verification transactions are going to be on the device. Now, it's not necessarily going to protect you from losing your seed phrase. If, for example, you store your seed phrase on your computer or in an email or any of the other places that you could do it online where somebody could potentially access it. If somebody gets access to your seed phrase, you're still going to lose everything. So you really still need to protect your seed phrase. But for all other circumstances, keeping your private key and doing all the verifications on the hardware wallet is going to help protect you and keep your crypto more secure. But that's one of the things I really liked about the Safepal was this. It's also completely air-gapped. There's no Bluetooth, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no NFC, there's no USB connection. Well, you might ask, well, how do you verify the transactions if you can't connect it to anything? Well, if you look at this picture here, that's a good indicator. You're basically using QR codes to go back and forth and verify the transactions that way. So you have to have your physical hardware wallet in your hands when you're going through this process, and then you're just going to go back and forth between the phone and the hardware wallet, taking pictures or using the video to capture that QR code. And if you hadn't noticed, there's a camera on it. Yeah, there's a camera built into the hardware wallet in order to facilitate this back and forth process. Let's go ahead and keep going down here. Tokens is another aspect. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, it's got a lot of different blockchains that are supported on this device. Again, think Trust Wallet. That's kind of what we're talking about when we're talking about Safepal Wallet, is you've got support for a whole lot of different blockchains and a whole lot of different tokens by doing it that way. Now let's keep going down here. As you can see, it looks like it's about the size of a credit card. And actually, let's just go ahead and open up the box and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So here is what the device looks like. And you can see in my hand, it's not that big. It's a little bit thicker. You wouldn't want to put this in your back pocket or your wallet because if you sat on it, it's plastic. It's a piece of plastic. You'd probably crush this. And again, if you crush this, as long as you've got the private key recorded, you're fine. You're not going to lose all your crypto, but you do want to make sure you record everything. The other things that they have in the box is the USB cable, and this is just the storage foam that it comes in. And some of the other things that come in the box is you'll have this little wipe here. Now, it's a fingerprint magnet, so you're going to probably want this. I just kind of wipe it off with my shirt, but they give you this if you don't want to scratch the plastic. Probably recommend it as well. Then you're also going to get a couple of stickers for Safepal. And then you're going to have a couple different seed phrase things you can fill out here. Now, it's paper. Paper's great. You're still going to want to put this inside of your safe. But what happens if there's a fire? Now, fireproof safes protect up to a certain temperature. As long as the temperature's not hotter than that, you should be okay. I still recommend using one of these metal plates to record your seed phrase. And it's going to be important that you get one that supports up to 24 words. Again, in the description of this video, I've got links to where you can get this stuff as well. So if you want to check out the one that I've got. Now I bought that one, which is titanium, and then I just keep buying just plain old plates as I get more wallets, because I've got quite a few wallets. So I've got quite a few of these metal plates. And again, I lock these into the safe as well. Now, what are some of the other things I really liked about the Safepal Hardware wallet? The big one was the passphrase. Now, what is a passphrase? Essentially, think of the passphrase as if you've got a 24-word seed phrase, it's the 25th word. Or if you're on a 12, it's the 13th. Or if you're on an 18 word, then it's the 19th word. It's essentially an extra layer of security. Now, if you already have a software wallet that doesn't have a passphrase, that wallet's not going to work anymore if you want to use a passphrase. So this is where your decision has to come in on what you want to do. Do you want to import or do you want to use a passphrase? So think of it like this. You can have a seed phrase of 24 words, which gives you incredible security. And it happens to fit on one of these metal plates. There isn't a space here for a 25th word. And I wouldn't recommend putting it on here. A passphrase can be anything. It could be your regular password. It could be some random password, because you can use actual passwords. You can use special characters. So you've got a lot of flexibility for what that passphrase is. When you add a passphrase, though, to your wallet, you're actually changing the address. So it's kind of like creating an entirely new wallet. But if you lose your seed phrase for some reason, as long as you stored your passphrase separate from your seed phrase, they still can't get in. So it's an extra added layer of security. So if somebody breaks into my safe and finds my metal plates, they still can't use that wallet. They need to know the passphrase. Now, here's some considerations for you. If you're married or you're in some sort of a relationship and you want them to be able to access your crypto if something were to happen to you, you might want to make sure they understand where the seed phrase is and where the passphrase is. So it's got to be stored someplace. I wouldn't just put them together though, because you've basically given the person everything they need to access your account. The other benefit with passphrases is on a Safepal wallet, you can have multiple passphrases. So you could actually set up a second passphrase to a dummy account. So let's say somebody breaks into your house and holds you hostage and says, hey, give me all your crypto. You could have a much smaller wallet that you give them. Maybe it's got a couple $1,000s or some smaller amount that you think will satisfy anybody that breaks in to try to steal your money. And you give them that one instead of the passphrase to everything. You could set it up in any number of different ways that you want to do it, but that's one of the beautiful things about the Safepal hardware wallet that I really liked. And this is also something that you can do on other wallets. Again, this is about the merger of the Safepal software and hardware. Now, what are some concerns? If you're in military intelligence, or if you're in some sort of other US or even international intelligence, you probably want to know where this thing ships from, because it ships from China. And it'll take about 3 or 4 weeks for it to get to you. So just keep that in mind as well, is there's going to be some sort of a lengthy shipping period. Now, why is it a concern that it's made in China? Well, not everybody really cares that it's made in China. A lot of stuff is made in China. But if you're in the Intel side of the house, there are a lot of concerns for stuff that's made in China. And it's interesting, there's a pretty good book out there. Just a second. this book right here. So Ghost Fleet. Yes, that was a little staged. Somebody sent me an email and said, hey, those books are fake behind you, right? That's just a screen back there. So I thought I'd grab a book off my bookshelf, and it was pretty well useful for this particular discussion, because Ghost Fleet is about the Chinese essentially hacking the US military and taking control of all the nuclear weapons, and it became a huge issue. It's a good book. It's set in the future, so it's not quite realistic, I would say, but it did raise some legitimate concerns about where the US gets some of its technology from, because a lot of stuff is made in China these days. But that's something you might want to know about, is that it is made in China. Now, a lot of stuff's made in China. I don't think that it's necessarily a concern, which is why I bought it. But that's pretty much it for this video. This was just going to be kind of an introduction of what's coming down the road. That way you can do your research and look into the Safepal wallet, the hardware, the software, get a feel for it, get a sense for it. Put your questions on this video, and I'll try to answer your questions in the content that I'm going to produce over the next week or so. The next video is going to be on the software wallet. I expect that video to come out sometime this weekend, so you can look for that over the course of the weekend. So if you're looking into it, that might be a good place for you to start, is looking at the software wallet. After that, it's going to be importing a wallet, basically linking a new hardware wallet to a wallet you've already got set up. So if you're looking at setting up a new wallet, you might want to ask yourself, what do you want to do? Do you want to have a passphrase? Do you not want to have a passphrase? How many words do you want it to be? 12, 18, 24? Because those are some of the questions that it's going to ask you. Just keep in mind, the passphrase changes the address of the wallet. So it's very important that you don't lose the passphrase, or that you make sure you know the uppercase, lowercase, and all that kind of stuff, because all that stuff is going to change that private key. It's incredibly important that you record things accurately. And if you get ahead of me, it's very helpful if you do a test transaction. Make sure that your crypto is received in your new wallet, delete your wallet, re-add it, and make sure that you can still see whatever money that you sent to the wallet. It's always good to take that extra step. Again, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be $1, just a small transaction, just to make sure that if you have to set up your wallet from scratch again, that you've actually recorded everything correctly. There's nothing worse than your hardware wallet dying, getting stolen, getting broken. You having to set it up and not having the correct information recorded. That would not be good. But hopefully you found this content helpful. Until next time, stay strong with those dominant hands.